when we talk about this concept of socialism, you see that in order to understand the meaning of or the dimensions of Indian socialism, we need to understand the concept of socialism. तो इंडियन सोशलिज्म को समझने से पहले हम लोग को क्या समझना होगा? विल हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड सोशलिज्म, कि भाई सोशलिज्म क्या होता है. देन वी विल हैव टू डेवलप एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट अच्छा ये सोशलिज्म है एंड दिस इज द डायमेंशन ऑफ इंडियन सोशलिज्म. इंडिया में इस तरह का सोशलिज्म है. बट in order to understand socialism, we will have to understand the concept of capitalism. So पहले capitalism समझना होगा, then obviously we'll be able to understand the concept of socialism. उसके बाद we will be discussing the dimensions of Indian socialism. So one sentence you can write here: in order to understand the dimensions of Indian socialism, we need to understand the concept of socialism, and in order to understand socialism, we will have to understand the concept of capitalism. ये इसलिए मैंने लिखवा दिया ना, क्योंकि many of you will think, "Arey, the teacher was teaching socialism, so in between he started teaching capitalism. What is it?" So basically, that is why I have made you to write it. That is, in order to understand socialism, you'll need to understand capitalism first. So let us try to develop an understanding. Now, whenever we talk about capitalism, you see capitalism and socialism are the two economic systems. Capitalism is the private ownership of the means of production and distribution. So when we say private ownership of the means of production and distribution, most of you may be knowing it, that this is capitalism. Now, every economic system has its roots in a political ideology. तो कोई भी इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम है ना, उसका जो रूट होता है वो किसमें है? इट इज एन आइडियोलॉजी. इट इज बेस्ड ऑन आइडियोलॉजी. सो फ्रॉम द अर्लियर टाइम्स, बहुत पहले से, शुरुआत से ही, we are living in the era of political economy. That is, the politics affects economy and economy affects politics. So when we talk about this concept of capitalism, this economic system, capitalism is based on the 17th century ideology of liberalism. So liberalism is the oldest ideology of this world. And अब देखो, there is an overlapping in the syllabus. In paper number 1 of the general studies paper, that is जो मेंस का हमारे पेपर है, इसमें पेपर 1 में you will have to read the ideologies. आपने syllabus देखा होगा, it is mentioned ideologies, socialism, liberalism, marxism, ये सब. तो आज की क्लास में मैं आपका एक थोड़ा सा फाउंडेशन बना देता हूं कि आपको जब वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री वाले टीचर पढ़ाएंगे ये सब आइडियोलॉजीज, तो द थिंग्स विल बी मोर क्लियर टू यू. थोड़ा सा मैं आज बेस आपका बना देता हूं. देखो, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट लिबरलिज्म, liberalism, I have written here 17th century ideology. It is the oldest ideology of this world. And when we talk about liberalism, liberalism has been derived from the word liber. Liber means freedom. It means freedom. So when we talk about any ideology, the ideology basically, first of all, it gives justification that why it favors certain things. So when we talk about the ideology of liberalism, so the liberals basically, when we are talking about liberals in the earlier times, that is 17th century, the liberals, they were of the opinion that man is a rational being, an individual is a rational being, and that is why he should be given freedom. And this freedom or the liberty has been given to an individual by nature. No individual or state has given us the freedom or liberty. So why freedom has been given, or why freedom is to be given? Because an individual is a rational being. Rationality is the basis of freedom. आप भी देखो, when if you people behave irrationally, then your freedom is curtailed. So rationality is the basis of freedom. So पहला क्या मैंने बोला? Why freedom? Man is a rational being. Individual is a rational being. That is why he should be given freedom. This is the first thing. Then, coming to the second aspect, why freedom? आपने बोल तो दिया कि there is a need for freedom because man is a rational being. But ये तो हुआ why. Where freedom? Means where the individual can enjoy his freedom the most. Now, in the society, we are not free. In your house also, you are not free. In the society, there are certain do's and don'ts that we need to follow. When you come out of your house, do's and don'ts are to be followed. But suppose your family decides to buy a car, and after that, your family members will be sitting down together, and first of all, they will decide that which car, what type of car has to be bought, depending on the needs of your family and according to your pocket. For example, if it is a small family, you can settle down for a sedan, or if it is a joint family, a large family, you can decide that we should go for an SUV. So, first of all, you decide what type of vehicle you need to have. Then secondly, your family decides that within the limit, that is the budget that you have, which model of car you should have, which company you should prefer. Maruti, Toyota, Hyundai, Honda, whatever it is, or we can say Mahindra. So after encircling into that, then you decide that okay, we will be buying an SUV of Mahindra or any other company. After that, you will see that how many dealers are there, which dealer I should visit? Then you should visit some dealers, and then you will ask, hey, what is the discount that you are giving? So one will say, I will be giving you a discount of 8,000 rupees. Then you will go to the next dealer. He will say, I will be giving you the discount of 8,000, we can say 10,000 rupees. Then you will zero into the dealer also. That the dealer basically who will be giving you the more discount, you may settle there. So basically you are free to decide what type of vehicle you need, car you need to have. Then according to your pocket, according to the needs of your family, which company, and after that which dealer. So you were free to decide. Where you were free to decide? In the market conditions. What you want to buy, if it is in accordance with your pocket and according to your needs. So basically, here what we see is that, and that is what the liberals used to say, was that the freedom of an individual can be best exercised under the market conditions. So first, why freedom? Why the liberals talk about freedom? Because they feel that man is a rational being. Second, where freedom? The freedom of an individual can be enjoyed in the market conditions, not only for the buyer, but also for the seller. It is to be decided that what type of product he will be selling, what type of business he will enter into, then how many staff he will keep, how many wages he will be giving, then for how much of time the shop will be opened. It completely depends on the shopkeeper or the businessman. So this is what the liberals used to say, that the freedom of an individual can be best exercised under the market conditions. So I have told you 2 points. Why liberalism talked about freedom? Because man is a rational being. Second, where the individual can enjoy his freedom the most? Under the market condition. So from there, you nowadays what you hear a term? Liberalization. So liberalization is not a contemporary term. It is not a modern term. It is based on the 17th century ideology of liberalism. So from there, वो वहीं से आया है. ये जो liberalization word आप बोलते हो, ये कोई नया word नहीं है. ये 17th century ideology liberalism की जो है, it is based on that only. ये तो हुआ आपका this con. Now, when we talk about the liberals, अब the emphasis is on freedom, and the freedom of an individual can be enjoyed in the market conditions. There we are free. Up. Next, when we talk about this ideology of liberalism, based on this ideology of liberalism, what was the role that was expected from the state? अब स्टेट का क्या रोल होना चाहिए? क्यों? अब स्टेट का जो रोल लिबरल्स ने बोला was that of a minimal state. What is this concept of minimal state? That state is the best which rules the least. So when we say that state is the best which rules the least, means the police state. What is the work of a police state or a policeman? Maintenance of law and order. That is, we can say, regulatory functions. So the state will not interfere in the economic affairs. In the market condition, in the market, the state will not interfere. And the only function of the state will be that of a policeman, that is to maintain law and order, regulatory function, that is to regulate the behavior of others. You should not do this, you should do this, you should not jump the red light, such type of. A night watchman state means when we are sleeping to give protection to us. And here the state was not to interfere in economic affairs. So the liberals were of the opinion that the state will not interfere in the economic affairs, in the developmental functions, schools, hospitals, roads, everything will be in the private sector. They will be making it. So here Adam Smith, you may have heard his name also. Adam Smith was an economist and he was the champion of this view. And Adam Smith, he talked about the concept of laissez-faire state. Laissez-faire state is an individualist state. So the liberals basically, they wanted that the state will perform negligible functions, means only the function of a policeman. तो जब आप बुक में एनसीईआरटी वगैरह पढ़ोगे ना, लिखा हुआ रहता है क्लासिकल लिबरल्स, means when liberalism had started, classical liberals. So basically the liberals, they wanted to have a minimal state. Whenever you will be reading an article on liberalization, these words will be coming. Minimal state means that state is the best which rules the least. Minimum function of the state, law and order, वही आपको maintain करना है. अब this ideology, that is this ideology of liberalism, which talked about minimum. अब यहीं से देखो कैपिटलिज्म कैसे शुरू हुआ. क्यों? क्योंकि आप क्या बोल रहे हो, that the state will not interfere in the economic affairs. So who will decide on that? The individual will decide on that. So gradually liberalism led to the rise of capitalism. This ideology was the dominant ideology during the Industrial Revolution. And after this, the Industrial Revolution had come. You will be reading it in your history. And during the Industrial Revolution, this ideology was the dominant ideology. And the states were influenced by the ideology of liberalism. And that is why they did not interfere in the economic affairs. They did not make economic, we can say, the economic policies. Labor legislations were not made by them. Ki nahi, we will not interfere, will not make the laws related to labor, will not fix the hours of work, will not fix the minimum wages. So, in the absence, ab kya hua? During Industrial Revolution, when this ideology was dominant and the states were influenced by this ideology, they did not make economic policies and the labor laws. And during that period, we saw the other aspect of the human behavior. What the liberals were saying? Man was a rational being. Man was a rational being. And during the Industrial Revolution, we saw the other aspect of the human life, that is his selfish instincts. And what the capitalists started doing, the industrialists started doing, they basically forced the workers to work for more hours, but they were given lesser wages. तो आपने क्या किया, आप इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी नहीं बनाया, लेबर लेजिस्लेशंस आपने नहीं बनाया, क्यों? क्योंकि बोले भाई स्टेट को इंटरफेयर नहीं करना है इकोनॉमिक अफेयर्स में, इंडिविजुअल खुद डिसाइड करेगा। तो जब ये बात हो गई तो दूसरा साइड हमने देखा इंडिविजुअल बिहेवियर का। लिबरल्स तो बोलते थे मैन इज ए रैशनल बीइंग, तो हमने दूसरा साइड देखा एक इंडिविजुअल का, जो उसके अंदर का जो सेल्फिशनेस है वो सामने आया। द वर्कर्स were made to work for more hours, but they were given lesser wages. कैसे देखो, suppose if a person is hired and he is asked to work for 8 hours and he is given rupees 1000 for that, it is not exploitation. It is not exploitation. क्यों? It is an agreed amount. If you work for 8 hours and I will be paying you 1000 rupees. But what started happening during the Industrial Revolution was that the workers were forced to work for more hours, extra hours, and they were paid the same wages. So you see here that they are being paid the same 1000 rupees, but they are working for 10 hours or 12 hours or 11 hours or 13 hours. So if a worker is working for extra hours, अगर कोई वर्कर यहाँ एक्स्ट्रा आवर्स काम कर रहा है, ऑब्वियसली ही इज कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटिंग मोर, ही इज कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटिंग मोर। 8 घंटे में वो जितना प्रोडक्शन करेगा, ऑब्वियसली ही विल बी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटिंग मोर। तो बट ये जो यहां पे 12 आवर्स या 10 आवर्स में दैट ही हैज प्रोड्यूस्ड, he will not be getting any profit from that because he is getting the same wages. But who will be getting the profit here? The industrialist, the capitalist. So I work for 12 hours in place of 8 hours. I am being paid for 8 hours, but I have worked for 10 hours or 12 hours. And the extra thing that I have produced in those extra hours, obviously the whole profit will go to the capitalist. This started happening during Industrial Revolution. And what was the result of this? The worker remained here. The worker remained here. And basically the capitalist, he started becoming richer and richer. So I am working, but I am here because I am getting the same wages, but I am producing something extra, and because of that profit, this capitalist is becoming richer and richer. The gap between the have and the have-nots, it started increasing, and the economic inequality became rampant in the society. It was not because of the labor of the capitalist, but it was because of the labor of the worker. So it led to economic inequality in the society. And when the gap between the have and the have-nots, it started increasing more and more, economic inequality became rampant. At that point of time, there came a man in this world. He had a beard. His name was Karl Marx. And Karl Marx challenged the ideology of liberalism. He said, "What type of freedom you are talking about? What type of freedom you are talking about? Because of this freedom, economic inequality is there. The gap between the have and the have-nots is increasing in this society. And Karl Marx said it was not freedom that was the need of the hour, but the need of the hour was equality, and that too economic equality. So, if someone will ask you that what is the difference between liberalism and Marxism, one sentence you should say is that liberalism emphasized on the freedom of the individual, whereas Marx emphasized on economic equality. Not equality, economic equality. Karl Marx never favored political equality, because Karl Marx was of the opinion that in the absence of economic equality, political equality is useless. That is what Karl Marx used to say. And for Karl Marx, economic equality was the main thing. Now, Karl Marx basically described the society. Dekho, every ideology, first of all, it describes the condition of the society. That what is the condition of the society? Every ideology, कोई भी ideology होती है ना, वो पहले describe करती है कि society है क्या, ये किस तरह की society है. Karl Marx described that in this society there is economic inequality. The gap between the have and the have-nots is too much. And then he said that in this society there are two classes, and political power lies with the economically dominant class. So that is what he taught about the society, that this is the nature of the society. And then Karl Marx talked about the second aspect. So हर एक आइडियोलॉजी पहले डिस्क्राइब करती है व्हाट इज द नेचर ऑफ द सोसाइटी, सेकंड व्हाई द कंडीशन ऑफ द सोसाइटी इज लाइक दिस, एंड कार्ल मार्क्स डिस्क्राइब्ड द सोसाइटी, that is the reason that why the society is like this, why there is economic inequality, and Karl Marx talked about this concept, and it was because of this concept, that is surplus value. Means a worker was forced to work for more hours, but he was paid lesser wages. And that is why the profit, the surplus, ये जो ना surplus, it went in the pocket of the capitalist. इस किसकी जेब में गया? ये capitalist की जेब में गया, and the capitalist started becoming richer and richer. And economic inequality was rampant. And after that, so पहला, every ideology describes the nature of the society. Secondly, it describes that why the condition of the society is like this. And third, the way out. Karl Marx gave the way out also. And Karl Marx said that the workers will not tolerate such type of exploitation for long. Workers जो हैं ऐसे exploitation को बहुत ज्यादा दिन तक बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे, and there will be a class struggle. क्या होगा? एक क्लास स्ट्रगल होगा. There will be a revolution, and in the revolution the workers will be the winners. The capitalists will be overthrown, and capitalism will come to an end, and there will be established socialism. तो socialism क्यों आया? Because of, कैसे आया? Because of revolution. Revolution क्यों हुआ? Because there was exploitation. Exploitation कैसे हुआ? It was because of surplus value. यही है. तो then came socialism.